calling this order of the Regional Rutland Planning Commission Executive Finance Committee at 17:10 or 5:10 in the afternoon on Monday, September 9th, 2024.
Want to just do a quick round since we have some new members?
I'll introduce ourselves.
Sure, Mike Dundas, Rutland City.
Leona Minor, West Rutland.
Larry Corsell, Mendon.
Robert Gibbs, Hubbardton.
Erica Berner, Wallingford.
Devin Neary, Executive Director.
Okay, thank you. So, may I have a motion to approve or make changes to the proposed agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bobby.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Right, the ayes have it. Open to the public?
We gotta do the minutes.
Minutes.
Oh, sorry. I'm kind of skipping around. I apologize.
Okay.
All right, approval of the June 10th minutes, and unfortunately you cannot vote because you weren't members. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 9th,
no, June 10th.
June 10th.
Yeah.
2024 as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Now we'll open it to the public. There's no public, so it is not closed to the public. Right. June and July 2024 financials. These were sent out this afternoon or earlier today, I believe.
All right, so we have a couple months to get through here. I'll try to be quick, but please feel free to stop me and ask questions if you so choose. The June P&L reflects a net income of almost 57,000. The following expenses were moved to the balance sheet: website at 960 or 996, plotter at 5,011, lease improvements at 30,004 due to depreciation totaling 36,013. MK is still in the process of reviewing and closing out FY24, but the year will end in the black when comparing the budget to net income. There are additional revenue and expense transactions as well as journal entries to be recorded. Some of the larger journal entries will be VEMR's, which ranges greatly anywhere from 38,000 as the high to the low of 4,600. The auditor completes the journal entry for VEMR's each year, and it is a non-cash item. Depreciation, the auditor also completes depreciation every year, and that journal entry in FY23, it was about $5,240, but should increase in FY24 due to the leasehold improvements at this new office location. This is also non-cash, so will not impact our net income. Move update, the lease threshold improvements came under budget by $5,230. Todd Transportation was also under budget by another $2,750. MK is in the process of tallying the miscellaneous expenses. We have a couple expenses left based on how much is left, but not much. The fund balance. RRPC has the policy to maintain 6 months worth of operating expenses. Currently, the fund balance is at 464,000 and change, but will change due to RPC's net income in FY24. 6 months of salaries, FICA, retirement, dental, and health insurance alone are higher than our current fund balance. We've done a good job of increasing over the years, but would like to add again this year if possible. On the revenue side, line 403 is high due to the housing navigator funds being expended. 403.5 is low due to project activity with QUISP. 403A ended under budget, and these have been extended as not all RPCs have spent down their allocations. 405 is under budget, but we're on track to complete in FY20. Is under budget as one of the tasks will be completed in FY25. We got special funding that will be transferred over. That's for bike ped planning. Line 420 is special projects is low. and we expected it to be under budget. Some reasons why: the flood bylaws agreement were lower, TOD and state brownfields revenue is lower than expected. Yeah, that's probably the biggest one there. On the expense side, line 500 salary is high due to how the line item is budgeted. For example, health care incentives are included in the fringe budget calculation, but the actual expense is reflected in the salary line. Our process is okay per auditor. Line 501 fringe is low, and that will offset that salary line overage with the fringe. And then 551 and 552 are over budget. And MK is looking to see if any portion of those can be moved to FY25. We expected some of those to be over budget due to the move. Our electricity bill is much higher here, and we did have some expenses moving the telephone internet over. July 24. The P&L reflects a net income of roughly 127,000. That's high due to invoicing the RPC's state grant for the first quarter. We get lump sums of that per quarter. Staff will begin working on a budget update to present to the board in November due to a couple big awards, and one of them we're excited to announce here in a few minutes. One of the reasons we want to redo the budget is because the state allocated 86,000 more than expected due to the Act 181 funding. On the revenue side, 403, it's high due to the first quarter invoice for the state. 419 is high due to journal entries recorded on 7/1 to move FY25 revenue from deferred grant to the P&L. On the expense side, 541, service contracts is high, shifting the prepaid expense to the P&L on 7/1. This is for our IT service contract, which is a retainer.
Who's that with?
Silhouette. Accounts receivable as of 7/31/24. Accounts receivable totaled almost 416,000. As of 9/9, accounts receivable total almost 316,000.
Yes.
Any questions?
So we're paying bills.
Things are good. Finances are very strong, which will be part of my report in a bit here.
Ready. Thank you. So the executive director's report.
All right. Well, start with the good news. We received $1.25 million from the Department of Labor for the work grant. This is a grant we applied for through the WIB, although it's coming to the RPC, but as stewards of the Workforce Investment Board, the WIB is out of money, and we knew resurrecting the WIB meant we needed operating funds. So Greg from our office applied to this U.S. federal grant for rural workforce opportunities for rural communities. So the 1.25 million will be spread out over 3 years and focus on job growth in infrastructure, construction, and clean energy. And it's a bridge model, which will take students, new Americans, high schoolers who didn't finish high school. It will train them, connect them with employers, pay an internship for them, and guarantee them a job interview at the end of that process. So we're really excited. This is huge money. And I think it could be very transformative for the region, especially in these trades, which relate directly to our housing shortage. So we're hoping that we can retain young people, build some housing, and fill this critical workforce gap with this money. So really excited. Yeah, this was a big one. We're the only award in all of Vermont and only one of 4 in all of the Northern Borders region. So it was a significant get. We're really excited. And Greg, I mean, hats off to him. He really worked hard to get this grant in. On a Different note, phase 2 of public engagement for the regional plan kicked off today. You probably
I saw that.
received an
Yeah.
email
Yeah.
from us.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're pushing out that survey. We have a press release going out. NBC5 is gonna pick up the story and do an interview later this week. After we do the work 6 grant interview tomorrow, which will be exciting. But the goal of this phase of engagement is 2 things. One, to see how the feedback from phase 1 engagement, that all that engagement we did in the spring was incorporated into the draft policies of the plan, and to get folks to comment on the draft policies themselves. So there is a public survey that sort of bins each chapter with the feedback and then the draft policies. So we're hoping to get, as many responses as we can. We didn't set a number like last time, because this engagement strategy is meant to be much less intense. Last time, just as a reminder, we did 27 town presentations, we did 25 pop-ups, we did 5 community open houses. And then we did, a bevy of digital and print media marketing, and then the online survey. This time, we're again gonna get out to all 27 towns. We're gonna hold 5 pop-up presentations, and we're gonna do 2 of these hybrid feedback sessions, which will be hosted at our office or online for people to comment. So that'll happen from now through the end of November. So help us get the word out. This will be a big one. We'll certainly engage the board, and we are planning to do a full-blown all-staff presentation to the board in October. So.
The email notice you sent out this afternoon, when they click on that, what are they going to see, the public?
Yep, so when they click on that, they'll be taken directly to the regional plan website, which just got a nice refresh with our new branding. And then they will take the survey right here. And we'll open up this survey. The winning item this year for the raffle is a $200 gift card to Paramount Theater, which should be fun.
Yeah.
And then they'll just comment on each one of these specific questions. So you can see up here is the input from phase 1 and then the policies. So we're asking simple questions. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And then open-ended commenting.
Mhm.
So that's what you'll see when you scan the QR code in one of our flyers or open up one of those emails or front porch forum posts. All right, MERB implementation funding applications are finally out there. As of now, the funding is specifically focused on high energy burning towns. We have 9 of those. We have 1 village and 1 fire district. However, kind of heard rumblings today that there might be a big change coming, and it may be opening up to all towns, which I think is not great. I mean, a lot of mixed messaging happening from BGS on this. We won't get into it, but ultimately, it makes it difficult if we're trying to have a succinct message to the region, and then we're having to backtrack and change everything. So we're hoping that the 9 towns, Rutland City is one of them, will at least get their full funding, which is up to $500,000.
I just want to say you managed so far the challenges that BGS has plagued you with since the beginning of this program, since it seems to have changed every 5 years.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, the
I
RPC,
appreciate
they've not made it easy on the RPCs, but we've adapted
You've done
pretty
well.
well, thank you.
They
Yeah,
give you a timeline as to when they were gonna make their final decision, or?
within the next couple days.
Oh,
Oh, not on the,
no.
on the
If they're
applications
gonna change
themselves?
Or open it up.
Yeah, that within the next couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Just an update, town planning stuff is kind of going off. We have enhanced energy plans in Killington, Pittsford, Middletown, Timoth. Town plans in Clarendon, Benson, Timoth, Middletown, Wells. Zoning bylaws in Brandon, Pittsford, Mendon, Poultney. Subdivision regs coming along soon in Pittsford, Fairhaven, and Proctor. And then we apply for neighborhood development areas in Brandon and Fairhaven. So things are moving. A lot of this is routine, but for the zoning, the subdivision regs, and the neighborhood development areas, that is all around activating the most out of Act 250 reform. Rutland City is the model. They have a downtown, they have all the pieces, and they have a neighborhood development area. And that covers almost all of Rutland City
Yeah.
for being potentially permanently exempt from Act 250. So, Rutland City will have to apply, and we will have to do a regional approval, which will then go to the Land Use Resource Board. But ultimately, we're trying to put all the pieces in place while we can. So I've been meeting with all the towns that are almost there. They're just missing one piece. Trying to pitch to them this opportunity that's out there. It's up to them to decide, but so far, Proctor, Fairhaven, and Pittsford are all moving forward. Rutland Town's not so sure. They're not sure because how Rutland Town is sort of spatially organized, everything has to be based off of a village center at downtown. And there are real village center opportunities in center Rutland. And most of that's floodplain or flood hazard area. So we'll see. They did not immediately say no to zoning, which, as you know, in Rutland Town is huge.
Well,
So,
yeah.
I mean, they seem interested in investigating it more. Better Roads Category A grants are out. That's to do road erosion inventory updates. Not thrilled about these, to be honest with you, how they're doing it this time around. The towns are submitting letters of interest directly to the state, and we're sort of cut out. And then the towns are just coming to us and saying, hey, we have this contract, we have money, will you do it? But this is gonna take a serious ramp up on our part to do 27 of these road erosion inventories. So we're trying to push them off until we might do Wallingford's this fall, actually, because Sandy's on it. But we might try to push everybody off to the spring and recruit as many interns from the college as we can to do this
The
work.
staffing gonna have to look like.
Staffing's, right now, the plan is to bring on interns and train them early, and then have everyone here get a little exposure to it by doing like a day or a town, to build up that capacity, because it's been since 2018 that we've really done these, so it's been over 5 years.
So these have to be redone, even though towns have done them.
Yes, so the permit requires, the new permit it started in 2023, and each 5-year permit cycle requires another round of road erosion inventory. Yep.
1 year it was crazy because they had to take GPS readings on both ends of the culvert. So if it was at an angle, they don't
Yes.
do that anymore.
Oh, thank God, because we
Oh,
did those with
yeah.
our
Yeah.
GPS units, and it was so confusing. It was so confusing. Because now you have 2 points for every culvert.
Yeah.
When it's only
It
one
was
culvert.
ridiculous. And
Yeah.
then after Irene, the river's over there now, so.
Mhm.
There you go, through the.
We gotta remove the river back here because the culvert's going here.
Yeah. So,
Don't even talk to our town administrator because of FEMA.
oh, yeah.
Oh, I went through 6 years of
And
it.
you have to have an
Yeah.
updated
Yes.
culvert inventory to be eligible for
Yeah.
FEMA buyout.
But-
or,
When
PA.
FEMA was going by, we had one road that had like 25 washouts on it. And she had to do every single one individually, GPS it.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
No, don't get her started. Good.
Speaking of FEMA, we're working on updates to 4 local hazard mitigation plans. Middletown Springs, Rutland City on their first ever. Rutland,
Time.
yeah.
Don't even get me started.
Rutland Town and Fairhaven, and we're hoping to bid on Benson as well. So we could have as many as 5 this year, which is good because these all are set to expire this year. I'm attending the BAPTA retreat this Thursday, Friday, and after the retreat, I will officially be sworn in as chair of BAPTA. So I don't expect it to be a huge time commitment.
Was Laura on?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I texted you.
I don't expect it to be a huge time commitment, but it will be a commitment. So I think the opportunity is greater than the requirement of my time.
Time requirement.
Yeah, especially given the influence and importance of the position. So I'm excited about it.
And shall we all tell them that if they say 5 hours a week, you multiply that times 5?
Yeah. Hopefully they say 1 hour a week, and maybe we'll multiply it. Yeah. And then lastly, Laura, can you hear us okay?
I can, and I apologize. I got carried away outside and I completely forgot.
No worries. We heard you were in
I
a
need-
very long meeting today, so you need
True.
that outside time.
Yeah, I told him.
Well, just to
Nice to
catch you
see you
up,
all.
you as well. Just to catch you up, we went through the financials, nothing crazy there. The really important piece
Yeah.
to let you know about is the $1.25 million we just received for workforce development and a grant we applied for earlier this year. So we're
Wow,
huge opportunity here.
fantastic.
Yep. So there's an article in the Herald today. You guys can check that out tonight. Well, it's tonight, technically.
We good.
Tomorrow morning. Yeah. If you don't read the
The
online
3 pages,
edition. Yeah. And then last but certainly not least is I am making my way through a new RPC Commissioner's Handbook. We've gone without one for a long time. And, with new executive members, new members joining, I really want to lay out what is the organization, who are the staff, what is the board, and how to be a good member. And just have all that right there for folks to reference. Not only that, but we are finally building out our committees and boards page on the website, which we just sort of let linger, but our Nate from Group 6 is meeting with us tomorrow. And hopefully we'll have something up, as soon as a couple weeks.
You have some of the old ones around, handbooks to
I
look
have-
at, so you're not reinventing or?
I have one from the Blucher days. That's awesome, but
I think that's the one I have.
I'm using more of the
It's-
modern
Yeah.
other RPCs to sort of build the template, but that old one was really good. It was really good. And you guys had a lot of committees back then. A lot of committees. There's like 6 standing committees or something like
Yeah.
that. But either way, any questions on all that stuff? I rattled a lot.
No, at the very beginning, that very first list, enhance energy, how many? That was a big list.
Yeah, 4, 5, 4, sorry.
I'm gonna be busy. at some
Killington,
point.
Pittsford, Middletown, and Timoth.
Okay,
Yes. Regional committee wise, we will meet at 6 o'clock next Tuesday. I don't even have that full list pulled down yet. But since we took the summer off, I bet there will be quite a few things on there. For community committee, we have 2 town plans, I believe, to review.
Okay.
Can't remember what those 2 are
Sorry.
on the top of my head, but I'll find them for when we get to the Board of Commissioners agenda piece. But we just advertised in the paper the hearing notice. And Logan's working on reviewing those and getting the notes out to you guys. Hoping, based on our bylaw update, that you'll have more members showing up.
It would be nice.
I
Yeah.
am gonna send out, when I send out the board materials tomorrow, I am planning on strongly encouraging folks to show up to your committee as well on Tuesday of next week, so.
then after they have to read an enhanced energy plan and the town plan. We never see.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Where they go.
Yeah, so I would say it's,
And the other question, who from staff will handle enhanced energy?
Jeremy.
Jeremy will.
So Jeremy is gonna handle section 248
Yeah.
for regional and enhanced energy for
Okay.
community. And then Logan will do all the town planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, that was a lot. Let's get through the Board of Commissioners agenda and then let's talk regional plan review process, because I want to make sure everyone's good to go, because this is a much bigger read than the last time. I want to make sure we're all ready. So let's take a look at what we have. So the first thing is member dues. So hopefully you all got a chance to read my memo. But I conspired with all the other RPCs in the state to ask them, what are you doing with dues? Because I had sort of heard several times through our VAPTA group that we were really standing alone on how we we're doing our dues. And it was antiquated and very low comparatively to the rest of the state. So, as you folks know, and maybe don't know, we have a flat fee rate structure currently for towns. It was with minor incremental increases every 3 or 4 years. And without any policy behind it, was sort of just, we'll update it from 900 to 950, from 950 to 1,000. So it currently stands at $1,000 per town, $27,000 annually. Not very equitable. Rutland City's paying the same rate that Mount Tabor is. And the needs of those towns and our work associated with them are vastly different. So the idea here is to create something that is much more appropriate for each different town. So looking around the state, most RPCs have a formula-based approach. Most of them, it's based on just the per capita. And they have a rate structure based on the consumer price index dictates what percentage increase they're gonna see year to year. So for instance, Two Rivers, they're currently at, $1.50, let's say, per resident. And the CPI says a 3.1 increase, so they're increasing it next year by 3.1%. So I have done a big spreadsheet for you all to show you what would those different rate structures look like. So our current rate structure is here, at $27,000, $1,000 per town. That's roughly 1.3% of our budget. Generally across the RPCs, I found percentage-wise, it's between 3 to 5% of the budget, depending. If we charge $1 per resident, which is my recommendation, it would gain 60,068, which is exactly the population of the region based on the 2020 census. That'd be 3% of our current budget. If we did $1.25, which is a little bit more in line with our sort of per capita property tax rate, it would be 72,081, and that'd be about 3.6%. Looking down the board here, NRPC in St. Albans, that's the northwest region of Vermont, they're charging $1.23 currently. Mount Scottney, and this isn't what their totals are, it's what our totals would be under those rates. Mount Scottney is $1.40, Central Vermont's $1.38, Two Rivers is $1.68, and Wyndham Regional Commission's all the way up at $2.74. So that would be a lot. So there's two things I would like to do, or like you guys consider doing, because ultimately this is your decision, and quite frankly, it probably will come with some pushback because we are asking for more from some towns. We're asking a lot less from others. Like Ira would be $368 versus $1,000, or Hubbardton would be $735 versus $1,000. But places like Rutland City is $15,800 instead of $1,000. So it would be a big shift. My recommendation is if we do enact this policy for this formula-based rate structure, that we also adopt a formal policy to go along with it, to say, okay, this is our structure in FY26, because remember, we're always forecasting for that next fiscal year. What is the increase going to look like year over year? And it's not, what I have drafted here would be $1 per capita per town, which would contribute roughly 3%. And then I have drafted a really basic policy that basically says member rates will be start at $1 per resident based on the most recent US Census. There will be an annual adjustment based on CPI for the Rutland region. So if CPI increases by 3%, we will submit a 3% increase. If it's 1%, we'll submit a 1% increase. Now, these equity considerations are potential things we could add in, not needed at all, but we could cap the percent increase to not exceed 10%. And we could also say to towns who may feel like they have an undue hardship to sort of apply for a reduced fee structure. That one I'm a little concerned about. You know, the progressive adjustment point sounds a little bit better, but both of those may or may not work for you guys. And then part of the policy would be to basically analyze year over year. Is this funding structure meeting the needs of the RPC and the towns? Ultimately, I would like some of that money to go directly to our expansion of some of our existing programming, specifically town planning. You know, one of our ideas was, hey, let's start charging towns for town plan updates. We could avoid that charging by doing this and just creating a collective bucket and trying to reduce that ask in the front end. And then, you know, technical assistance is something we always do. And then grant funding and management, looking to sort of leverage some of those fundings. So this is all normal stuff. The notification and payment schedule we already do. So yeah, what do folks think?
We've talked about this for years. Of going a per capita coming out with things, and then, you know, Rutland City, when they redid their master plan, they did it in-house.
Mhm.
So the argument was, you know, we're paying money for that. You know, they've looked at it for years and have just never done anything.
Mhm.
It's just a per capita. And so, you know, if a town is, you know, one of the smaller towns like West Haven or Mount Tabor or something is doing a town plan, and they're contributing a smaller amount, well, there's still as much work going into that town plan. So
Right.
it's, what it is basically part of your selling point, presentation point is, you know, there used to be funding for town plans. And that's gone pretty much. So it's like, you know, it's back in Montpelier where, you know, on a select board level, they'll come up with a new act that needs funding or some kind of a law, and they don't fund it. They pass it down to select boards or to the city and mandate, you're gonna have to come up with the funding.
Yeah.
They look good because they didn't raise the tax. Now the poor select board is
Mhm. Mhm.
picking it, and that's what basically what the towns now have to do is pick up some of
Yeah.
that.
You know, and by no means, I don't think this money won't only go to town plans by any means.
Oh, yeah.
I think what's important too is to sort of keep it in perspective of the budget, you know, because the $27,000 in 2020 was an appropriate use of our percentage of our budget.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
But now our budget's over $2 million. Back then it was under $1 million.
Yeah.
So, you know, to say we're only gonna increase $50 times 27 towns every few years, I mean, it's just not going far. And it's also the equity piece on this. I really don't feel comfortable asking West Haven to pony up money when we're only there a few times a year versus Rutland or Rutland Town or, you know, any town really. So ultimately, we do need to make a decision because we have to set the dues before November.
Yeah, because they're doing budgets.
Because they're doing budgets. So we always set the dues in October at the latest and then send out the notifications those following weeks through November. So, you know, if you guys wanted to think about this, we could potentially delay it a month. If you feel like, hey, we've been kicking this can down the road far enough, let's do it. We could send it to the full board for with a recommendation at this upcoming meeting.
I would, quite frankly, I think it needs to go to the full board.
Well, it has to,
absolutely.
yeah.
But I
yeah.
mean, the quicker
Oh, the quick, for them to mull it
Yeah.
over, if they want an extra month, then they can have it,
that's,
if that's the choice.
because we all know that there are certain towns that are going to be screaming bloody murder. There are other towns that are gonna be saying, hey, this reduces our
Mhm.
dues. And these people are representing their towns, we're all representing your towns, so we're gonna have to go back to our select boards and say, oh, by the way, the dues are going up because I'm looking at this, it's gonna go up in Wallingford by $1,200, give or take.
Mhm.
But Hubbardton, that's an easy
We
sell
can
for you.
smile, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or Rutland Town, Rutland City, I mean, you're gonna have to,
It's, yeah,
yeah, Rutland
Yeah,
Town-
well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Rutland Town
that's-
goes up to 3,900.
Yeah.
You know, I think we need to, if this is the choice of the committee to move it forward, really have a succinct message as to why we're doing this.
We really, yeah,
And I think the memo lays it out pretty well, but if you wanted to edit that down before it goes to the full board, it obviously will need to go to the towns when that happens too. You know, starting at $1 is certainly on the very low end of the per capita formula, but it feels a lot more palatable than $1.25.
yes, this is a big change.
And we're hitting exactly like 3%, which feels good for the budget. You know, yeah,
unfortunately for some towns, it's also at the same time that the state raised the educational budget.
Mhm.
yep, which I do recognize, you know, we're gonna be essentially asking for $33,000 spread across the region. With the brunt of that coming from Rutland City, you know, 14,000 of it coming from Rutland.
Well, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other thoughts? You know, do you feel like this is the right time? Should we do this?
The only thought that I had was, if everybody's used to paying 1,000, is there a point in going below that, adjusting down, or keeping that as the base and then letting the variance kind of cushion it
Mhm.
a little bit, but I don't wanna overly complicate it either.
Yeah, that would be, you know,
There's 8 towns that are paying less than 1,000 in the new model.
mhm. Since that delta is up to 760-ish.
Yeah,
On
I'd have to- I
West
didn't-
Haven. Where's Mount Tabor? 210, so 790 for them.
I don't know, that makes a difference, so.
So every other RPC is per capita. No,
Yep, every RPC is per capita. One RPC, Bennington County, does these groupings, like 0 to 2,000 is $2,000. But then they cap it at over 8,000, but they also don't have any cities above 8,000 people. So that's their cap. It's kind of a grouping. They're the only ones that do it that way. I didn't hear back from Addison County, but from what I understand, they also use per capita.
It, it's like two families going out to dinner. One family has 2 children, the other has 8. Do they split the bill? Basically,
yeah.
that's what has been happening
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
Seems much fairer to do it that way.
I think one of the questions that I'll be asked is, well, do we get more for our money?
And I hope your answer is, well, we haven't been paying for anything for years,
Yeah.
and it's time to pay our fair portion. I still think, and you know this, Mike, it's been a big advocate. I think
we should-
Rutland's getting a deal at 15,000, because we don't charge them for anything. You know, we have stopped dealing, the reason we've stopped dealing with small LPAP contracts by and large is because it's too much. We have 65 open grants. Adding another 27 small contracts to do work is more administrative burden than it is effort even getting the money in the door. So that's been a problem for us. Like, the state keeps saying to us, oh, set up $500 contracts. not even worth the postage at that point. By the time MK worked on it and the staff are, you know, it's not enough. So there is no red tape. It's just dealing directly with the towns. I think it's gonna be our charge to really convey the value. You know, I think we have good relationships with all the towns. I think they do understand the value, but value and money are two different things.
For you to say, last year, this is what we got in services from the planning commission.
We could try to estimate that.
You know,
Oh, I
last
could easily
year,
say-
this is what Ira got in services.
Mhm.
They paid equal.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good way to really bring it out, don't you think?
Yeah, I could work up some like case study models. You know, we'll never be perfect because we don't
Right,
track things that way, but, yeah, we know where the big projects were and roughly how much time they could have taken. That's a
I
cool
mean, if you
idea.
were a law office, based on the utilization of 2 of your employees alone, I would say that we definitely got our value at that rate.
Mhm.
So I think there's, well, rather than discussing it, I'll
Yeah.
make a recommendation that I'll make a motion that we recommend to the full board, the option $1 per 2020 census numbers, for approval for next year's dues.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any opposed? Thank you, Laura.
good.
Now, how do we feel about the policy? The policy could wait. The policy doesn't have to be the day we do this.
So if one of the towns paying a less amount wants to do a town plan, how far does the funding for that go before they start getting billed for a complete town?
Right
plan?
now, we have zero LPAP agreements with any towns for town plans
Yeah,
currently.
but if they wanted to do a town plan on this new dues fee,
It would be the same thing we're doing now. We're not charging now. We wouldn't charge
you
them.
wouldn't charge them.
Yeah. What we're trying to do is encourage towns that are really looking at an expansive town plan update to apply for a municipal planning grant. We're lucky to get a couple a year,
I
maybe.
think we tried to do that.
You tried, yeah, and
to
it wasn't,
offset.
they want that thing they want that focus, whatever year it is, you know, some years it's like housing, some years it's flood resiliency. And you have to hit that perfect vein to get that money. So I won't say that this will eliminate all municipal planning grants, but frankly, in my opinion, I'd like to see more municipal planning grants unless it's like a full-blown from scratch plan rewrite to really be funding like feasibility studies and master plans and stuff that is gonna go to a project, not just a town plan.
But on the other hand, if we have to write town plans, you also have all volunteers writing town plans. And they're wringing their hands going, where do we start?
You know, I will have to admit that our volunteer committee did little or nothing.
My point.
We didn't charge them for your town plan.
No, just Logan was there and said this and this and this, and somebody said, oh, there's a typo there. That was about the contribution. It was kind of embarrassing, but
But you see,
no one had ever done a town plan before.
and you're proving my point. Because more and more of that is coming on us. And our town plan expires in June of 2026. And I'm already pushing to let's start on it now. Because we also have to have it approved by Australian ballot and a few other things in Wallingford. And I'm the chair of the planning commission. There's 4 of us on the planning commission. None of us have the time. None of us have the experience, even though we've been through it once, because the last time we had it, we had the municipal grant and she just came in and said, this is what you need to do. Okay, fine. And we did it.
We do have a new member that's very, very good.
Yeah.
He's been involved in nonprofits
Mhm.
before and written a
Great.
couple grants and, he was fantastic. I had been through the process once before, so I had a little bit more,
Yeah,
but for whatever reason, we waited until the last minute, and that was
Yeah.
the absolutely worst thing we could have done.
well, look at Hubbardton.
Mhm.
I mean, the chair of the committee that approves it got told, send it back,
Mhm.
rewrite it. And this is the man, both of you, who
Mhm.
keeps up with these things.
Mhm.
How do you keep up with it? Logan's about the only one that we can.
That
go to.
does, yeah.
That does.
Mhm.
So, these little $500 municipality grants that's gonna stretch them out, doesn't make any sense.
No,
Whereas a funding like this, you might consider having workshops. You gotta write your town plan, this is what you need.
That's a good
that
point.
is where we want to get
That's a
to.
great point.
That is
Yeah.
ideal. But right now we have
Good idea.
1.5 people working on, really one person working on all town plans.
Yeah.
Because but with this funding, this would pay for half a position.
And there you go for another argument, having the funding,
Yeah.
especially to the cities.
Yeah.
Like Wallingford, who is gonna be rewriting it.
Yeah, yeah. No, we want to meet the demand, and that's part of the tools in the toolbox to get that done. So, okay. Meeting dates. Sorry for all the housekeeping.
Lord,
items.
did you have anything to say or add to it?
No, I'm with you guys all, good. Keep going. Sorry, my camera doesn't work. I don't
No,
wanna,
you're okay. I
turn it
hope you're
off
outside at
again.
least doing some gardening.
I hope you're on your back porch sipping your tea and
Yeah.
enjoying the weather,
Yeah.
but that's me.
I did want to just show you guys this. This is what like that complicated
Yeah.
formula structure looks like. This is Chittenden County's per capita. They use the equalized education grand list, and then as a percentage of county, and then the increase. I think if we throw this out to towns, they're gonna be really put off by the complexity of this and why, Equalized grand list does provide a little bit more equity in terms of like, it's not about the people in the town, it's about your ability to pay. But I have a feeling if we were to break this down, it would only impact a couple of towns, like Killington would end up paying a lot more. But ultimately, our other towns, I think, would see the same level of reduction, so. Something we can always look at in the future, but I think simple is good.
Keep it to the KISS.
Yeah,
The general
Yeah.
public doesn't look at this, it's select boards.
exactly.
In the city.
Yeah, but even select boards, you throw something at them like that, that's a lot to
Well, it's
digest.
a lot, because
Yeah,
I'm not sure how the city does it, select board, it's line by line by line, the whole budget process.
exactly. Yeah,
God, that would take us weeks.
Yeah,
Oh, it does take us weeks, wait a minute.
We do it, yeah, there's nothing we don't look at.
Well, even in Wallingford, our select board says, okay, in November, we're looking at this budget, December, we're looking at this budget, in January, we're looking at this budget, and it is line by line. You throw something like that at them, and I know they're gonna go cross-eyed, and if you have anybody on the select board who's against membership, they will speak up.
Yeah.
this is
They just have to be impressed as to the value.
That's exactly right.
just catching an error here.
Be on board for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
You'll understand the value.
Thankless job.
Yeah.
I'm on the planning commission and I'm the secretary for the development review board. Enough.
That's all I
Works
got.
for you.
That's all I got.
I'm also the zoning administrator, really enough,
Really, yeah.
In the chair here.
and the chair,
Yeah.
and the treasurer for the Rotary. I forgot about you.
Many hats.
Okay.
Okay, so part of our bylaws state that we have to adopt a meeting schedule in September of every year. So I already fleshed these out. Looking at all of our holidays. The one change would be our December meeting, combining executive finance committee with the full board, because that's just our audit and annual party. So I figured the full board. Last year, it was too close to Christmas. Remember, we only had maybe a handful of people show up. I think a lot of people wanted to go. Remember, we had like the
Mhm.
party in the old office? Yeah. So I'd like to try to combine those on that Monday, but otherwise, this is the meeting schedule and we're able to hit every Tuesday. So that's for the full board. For this board, it's a little bit dicier because of October and November are both holidays. So we have Indigenous Peoples on Monday, the 14th, and we have Veterans on Monday, the 11th. So pushing those to Tuesdays would be the idea.
You have those days on staff.
I would come in if you wanted me, Larry. I'm dedicated,
Well,
man.
let's do it then. Let's.
Yeah.
So-
No, I know. Tuesday, the 12th. I'll be in Florida, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah, and you
but you can come in on video.
could, but you can
Well,
also
I
miss
don't know if
it.
that
Or
would
you can miss
happen.
it.
You can miss it on vacation. Everyone's allowed a vacation day here, you know.
Move the meeting to Florida.
Yeah, there we go. Retreat,
Yeah.
executive board retreat, yeah.
We raised the. tax.
Like you have a conflict?
I thought I did, but I don't.
Okay.
So,
Oh, did you think there are alderman meetings being pushed out?
yes, but I just
Okay.
looked and it's gonna work out just.
That December meeting, how's that work? If it's an executive finance committee meeting and a governing board after it, or it's combined, or?
Yeah, we just have our executive committee meet.
Yeah.
We could also just do it the week before if you were worried about the audit, but so far, we're kind of playing it close, but so far the audit's been perfect
Yeah.
every year. I don't expect that to change this year. So if we could just get through the business and then just have the party. I also feel bad for asking you guys to come twice in December.
Well, wait a minute, you've got, okay, maybe I read this wrong.
No,
Yeah,
that was a typo. It didn't
uh,
update that.
So that should be the 9th.
Should be Monday the 9th. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't believe you have to make a motion and send it to full board for this one. The full board will just adopt next week, but if you wanted to, you could. It wouldn't necessarily hurt.
I think we're all in pretty much agreement.
Okay, we have that done.
By consensus.
Great.
Brownsfield policy.
Brownfield policy. Okay, so you guys know we've had a brownfields reuse program here for years now. Part of the new grant was to form a steering committee. This was 2023 or 2. We formed a steering committee made up of Ed Bogue from the RRA, Lyle Jepson from Cedar, and Chair Burner. However, with the new open meeting law updates, we're like, this is not a advisory committee. This is a non-advisory committee, and really, given the amount of money that we dole out, this should be a committee of the full board. So what this policy is stating is basically a process for how we review new applications. So the purpose is just to standardize it. We've kind of been doing this from the beginning, but the difference is incorporating the board. So basically staff would receive a request from a property owner or a prospective buyer to perform some sort of assessment, phase 1, whatever. They would have to complete and submit an owner participation agreement and a site nomination form. We already require those. It's standard operating procedure. The brownfields manager, the staffer here, would then comb through those 2 pieces and make sure that they're eligible and that everything's correct before bringing it to the steering committee or to this new brownfields committee. That brownfields committee would have 2 roles. One any new projects, new sites, they would review and approve. And then the second part would be essentially providing local and regional context for the direction of the program. But our thought is, once the project gets into the program, it would then just be part of the program lead staffer at the RPC to just help it move along with updates to the committee. But we thought it would be really problematic and a huge bottleneck if we had to come to the committee for every approval for every phase. Because that can happen randomly between meetings. It can happen quickly. You know, there's often like an expedited feature of these things where it's like, oh, I gotta close in this date. We gotta get through this. So I just thought it would be easier if we just focus on the new sites, because really that's where the meat and potatoes of this is. So this policy outlines those pieces and the evaluation criteria. So there is a form which was attached to this document, basically a scoring rubric. How do we objectively score these projects? That's what we're looking to do. We want to increase transparency to this program because it's been too long where it's just kind of been operated by one person. And it worked well, but that's not how I want to do business here. You know, I want it to be upfront and I want the board to be involved. So the idea would be for this committee to also retain some of its current members. So Lyle's already an ex officio member on our board, not a problem. You know, he can be ex officio boards members in our bylaws, say they can participate. Chair Burner's already on the board. We'd like to recruit a few more. And then we'd like to make Ed one of the at-large members of the board. So as the RRA, which they've been in the past. So he can participate as well. And then whoever else, like, you know, if Mary Cohen from the Housing Trust was like, hey, I want to join, great. Would love to have you as an at-large member and be on this committee. So to do that, we'd want to make this this is the evaluation form, pretty standard. Basically, you know, we're looking at regional initiatives, town initiatives, feasibility, the attractiveness of the development, the concerns, equity, yada, yada. But to do this, we need an update of the bylaws. And not a substantial update. The update is really,
Which is why it took 40 pages to print.
I know, I'm sorry, I wish I could.
It's not substantial.
It's not substantial.
Uh-uh.
It's literally in section 1201 composition, adding brownfields to the standing committees list, adding brownfields to the committee chair list, and then adding a section for brownfields committee duties. So this would say evaluate new requests for brownfields funding and provide local and regional perspectives to ensure conformance with program criteria. So those are the proposed changes to the bylaws and a specific policy. So if you guys want to pursue this and wrap it up into the full board, we'd be looking for a policy to recommend to the full board adoption of the brownfields policy and RPC bylaws as written.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
I'll second.
give that to Laura.
Okay, thank you,
Yep.
Laura. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
Excellent. This seems like a super sensible thing to do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, lastly,
And the good thing is it takes some of the pressure off.
yes, it does. Honestly, I don't want to be the only person involved in that. You know, that's okay. Regional plan, folks. All right, should we shake it out? Start over. Cause I'm gonna throw this last bit at you and then get you out of here. So
We're all
we're already,
excited about this.
yes, I'm sure. So we're at task 2, rep 2. So land use down to climate resilience. We have full chapter drafts. We have the full narrative and the goals, policy, as actions all in one document. to make this easier, because there's so much material, we're doing chapter assignments. What we're asking you folks is, do your chapter assignments at the minimum. If you want to read the whole plan, please do. And do your chapter assignments at the minimum with filling out the form, which is attached to this email. That's gonna be where you want to put your
So
comments.
the most recent one, we go on to that, not go way back to the ones you sent.
Exactly. This email from Stephanie on 8/27 is your email
Got it.
for the directions. To access the files, you'll access them the same exact way you did before.
Yeah.
Put a link on his computer. Yours was still working the last we looked at it. It's a Microsoft SharePoint invitation.
That original one.
If any of you get home and are like, this is not working for me, I do not have access, please let me know like right away, and I'll come out and help you at your house if you need it. If you want to bring your laptop here, you can. We got Leona and Mike set up, so they're good to go. I want to show you first and foremost, where are these and which documents are you supposed to be using? Because it's written right here. On number 2, the 2 documents to review can be found in the task 2 folder of each chapter, titled T2 Rev 2 Edit 11/1/24. Really, only look for that date, 11/21/24, or 11/01/24. That is the actual draft itself. The self-review 8/23/24 is the same form attached to this email that you'll use to review all the chapters, just filled out by the author themselves as a self-review. So let's just look at this really quick. We're in the regional plan folder. You have access to this. Actually, it doesn't look like this. Bear with me.
That's okay, because she's gotta send it out separately to me, as she said it's not ready.
What's that?
Chapter 7.
FPU, that's because I'm writing it now, so I'm not done. It was a very last minute pivot.
Yeah.
I'm just a glutton for punishment, you know?
I think
Okay,
September 23rd is where she wants.
Yes.
Before that.
yeah,
Yeah.
other than that
That's the
chapter,
deadline.
Yeah.
yeah. Now, and then you got all the dates in your calendars for the times we're meeting? We're meeting 5 separate times, we'll go over those in a minute. Okay,
Yeah.
so when you log on to your SharePoint, it should look exactly like this. Or some of you, I even linked in so it looks like this, just one folder deep. So I'll go back to that just so you see it. Some of you have this starting page, and then some of you have this starting page. So let's say you're Bob Gibbs and you have working lands as your chapter. You click working landscape, task 2, and there's your document. There's your draft right there. 11/1/24 is what you're going to look for. So you open that up. Boom. There's your draft.
Here it is. For those people that can follow directions.
I know. Please do not hesitate to call me. If you get into there, you're like, Devin, I don't see any files. None of the names are right. Let me know. I'll walk you through it. And if you're not linked, I'll relink you to the folder. Hopefully everyone does. And then this is the self-review form that people filled out. Oh, crap. I'm out of that.
Okay, so we fill the form out and send it.
Fill the form out, fill this one out, attach the email.
Yeah.
And send it to Stephanie. If you have problems filling out the form and sending it, let me know. If you're like, hey, I printed that form out and I hand wrote into it, that's okay too. Bring it in and we'll just take it in paper form.
Okay.
So
Trying to make this too easy, that's what's happening.
we might be. So Larry, land use, climate resilience. Leona, cultural resources, housing. Mike, economic development, transportation. Erica, facilities, utilities, and enhanced energy. Laura, enhanced energy and natural resources. Bob, working landscape and natural resources. So you're gonna go into those folders, either land use, climate, natural resources, working lands, find that 11/01/24 document. That is what you're gonna read and review. The goal is to have all those chapter reviews done by Monday, September 23rd. Now Stephanie's gonna kill me if I say this, and it is being recorded, so. I am more interested in you getting deep into these chapters than meeting that deadline. However, we have the deadline of the actual meetings where we're talking about that stuff. So if you get to the 23rd and you're like, I've done as much as I can, great, but you still have more to do, keep reading right up until that meeting that we're gonna meet on. That is the time at which we're sort of cutting it off. Because we have to sort of get back to the authors for the third task. So those meetings are the 23rd of September, right here, these. The 1st of October, the 8th of October, the 16th of October, and the 22nd of October. I'm sorry, but the Tuesday, October 22nd is a board meeting day. So you'll live here that day. I'm sorry. That was kind of hard to fit it in. Hopefully you all got calendar invites for those dates.
Yep.
And if
Yep.
not, just refer to this. You got it, Mike? Okay. Refer to this email if you forget. We will feed you at these meetings. So come hungry, just like last time, essentially.
And we're all here is time and a half though, right?
What's that?
We get time and a half.
Absolutely, yeah. Sandwich and a half. That's right. Any questions on this? And again, I just want to reiterate, please do not hesitate to call me, email me if you have issues. It is a lot. I get it. It's a lot. That's why we try to break it down to just 2 chapters per person. The other thing I want to give you the opportunity to do, if you're interested, and I'll just float it out there to see if you're interested yet, but specifically for you two, we have the first draft of chapter, the introduction, in the full layout form. It's beautiful. For you folks who haven't read the introduction, do you want to read it? And if so, do you want to see it in this new format? And to the rest of you, do you want to see what this looks like reformatted? Okay. So let me stop sharing and just show you quickly what it is, and then I'll forward it to you all because I'm really excited about this. Here it is. So every chapter has a pattern and a color associated. So when this is printed out and you flip through the edges of this plan, you'll be able to tell what chapter you want to get to by the color and the texture of the binding. So this is the intro, and this is generally what it will look like. 2-column format. It's our physiographic region. Nick just made this map. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Just really professional. Ooh, I asked for this graphic. So this is population change by percentage and by town between 2010 and 2020. Here's our migration graphic, which I think came out really well. There's like who's coming from where and how many.
Well,
Call outs, sidebars, insets, So yeah, as you can see, it's really taking shape. This is what the whole plan will eventually look like. I asked him to change this color, didn't really fit. That's just a placeholder. But what do you think of the layout? Obviously, the intro is kind of nuts and bolts, frankly, but it's starting to look like an actual plan here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Formatting's nice.
Liz Tom Sudan's doing it. She's doing a
Oh,
great
yeah.
job, a really great job. So I'm excited to see this in color form because every author got to pick their chapter color as that sort of secondary color. So I will share this with you all so you can read it in what it would look like in its permanent form. So yeah, I think we got through it all. There was a lot there. Well, you get a summer break and you're just thrown right into the deep end, right, when you get back.
It's a long summer break.
Yeah, it's well deserved. It's well deserved. So, yeah, that's all I've got.
All right. Then I guess we need a motion to adjourn, so we can all go out in the rain.
I know, perfect timing.
Mhm.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor to adjourn at 18:21 hours or 6:21 PM.
Okay.
All those opposed?
Hi.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank
And
you.
we are adjourned at 18:21.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. I'll get the camera working.
Okay, sounds good.
I would love to stay and chat,
Yeah.
but I have to run to the PEG TV board meeting.